She's been on the front lines for a minute, man. A civil rights leader, friend of the morning show. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Miss Mallory. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yo, thanks for pulling up. And, our words of gratitude can't speak louder, just to say thank you for as long as you've been out there, like some people would have maybe gave it a weekend and went home. But, your tenacity and your ability to keep applying pressure, man, it deserves to be praised daily. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for all you do, man. What was your initial reaction when you guys... Thank you. What was your initial reaction when you got the verdict, last week?
Well, it was really painful, right? I mean, I think, a lot of people were saying, well, we already knew that. And, unfortunately, for the 25 years that I've been in this work, I have experienced the same movie. We've watched it over and over again. And so I definitely was aware leading up to the announcement that the results could be as they were. Or as they are. However, we can't ever normalize it. Every single time injustice rears its dirty head, we have got to feel, because if we don't feel, we can't fight. You don't fight about things that don't matter to you, or things that you have just decided are what they are and there's nothing that can be done. You fight when you understand that wrong is wrong, and we have to force this country to be better than what it is right now. And that's only going to happen by there being real, serious, and critical dissent on the ground in a multitude of ways. And so I refuse to get in a space where I say, well, that's just how it is. We already know that, and continue to move on. I'm going to always feel the pain and use it as fuel to continue to fight.
Well, Tamika, where do you feel like we go from here? Because like we did say, you are still out there, and I did see a post that you put up, and you was like, I feel like about to tell everybody to come down here to Louisville, and I'm not going to lie, I started looking at flights. Like, do you need us to come, Tamika? What's going on? But how do we continue to pursue charges on the other officers?
I just want to say really quickly, that was the moment the day before, 2 days before, when I had that feeling this is not going to go well. And then there were moments when I became really optimistic. And so, you go through so many emotions. Excuse me, hold on. You go through so many emotions. But that second was when I was like, I don't know. I think the Lord was speaking to me and preparing me. But where do we go from here? There's a lot of things happening, and people have got to, we are often fleeting in our attention span. And so we don't stick sometimes with stories, but I think Breonna Taylor has done something different to us. And we need to stay right there on this case, because I think that if we push Breonna Taylor's situation to the extent that we can, it might actually be the breakthrough that we need as we get a new administration, hopefully, to say we ain't going back and we're not going to do things as business as usual. So you have two things happening. One, you still have areas within this particular case that can work in our favor in terms of, one, getting those grand jury minutes, pushing the attorney general, which the governor has told him that he needs to release the transcript. Now, unfortunately, Daniel Cameron he can make that decision on his own, and he may or may not release the transcripts. But we have seen other parts of transcripts from Kenny Walker's testimony. Sorry, I'm having a little throat thing. We have seen other testimony from Kenny Walker and some other pieces of information being released, and therefore, as far as the attorneys are concerned, that means that Daniel Cameron should be able to do the same. He's being touted as being this perfect guy who does everything by the book. So if that's the case, and you stand by that, Daniel Cameron, then show your hands, show your cards, and let the world see what you actually presented in that case. So we have that. And if, in fact, we find that the charges for Breonna Taylor's killing specifically were not presented to the grand jury, then you can push for a special prosecutor to come in and represent charges. So that's one course of action. But I think the last thing, which is one of the most important things, is that we have got to get organized to get to the polls in a way that we have never done in our lives. We have got to show up to vote, because we've got to change over the leadership in this country, not because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are perfect, and not because we think that they're going to be, the sweeping change that the nation needs. Hopefully they will, but that is unlikely, because we haven't been able to find in American history where a presidency meant change for our communities in the ways in which we need. However, we can see what we're watching play out in front of us every day. And it is time for us to get rid of the insane man who is running the White House, who literally is responsible for killing 205,000 people in this country with COVID-19, or as some say, my brother Jamal Bryant would say, COVID-45, because his incompetency is what has killed people. Okay? Yes. And so we've got to change that over, because I would rather fight Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, people who I think are at least reasonable enough that I can get on the phone and call somebody in the White House and cuss them out and say, you need to do this or that, and move them a little bit, instead of, I don't even have a phone number to anybody in the Trump administration that I think that I can reason with or work with or even fight with to get anything done. And I've been saying, and I will continue to say, if y'all don't vote and people don't turn out in this election, all of this protect Tamika at all costs, you might as well not say it anymore and hang it up, because they are going to kill me and others like me in these streets.
And we're not going to let it happen. Tamika D. Mallory, thank you so much for all you're doing in this space. And listen, you have a platform to speak anytime you want to pull up on us and let us know about everything you got going on. We appreciate you. And, we going to protect you at all costs, okay?
And vote. And we going to vote.
And we going to be at that polls, man, one time.
That's the first line of protection.
Yep, we got move these clowns around and get them out of town, man. One time, y'all, for Tamika D. Mallory.
2 times.
And what's the website that people could go to if they want to follow you and know about the things you're doing?
You can go to untilfreedom.com. That's untilfreedom.com. Check us out. Click the donation link. We don't care if it's $1 to $10. We appreciate every bit of support that'll help keep us out here on these streets.
We on it. One time, Tamika D. Mallory.
We are the Morning Hustle.